Hello, everyone, and welcome back to watching Twin Peaks. For the first time. Mackenzie has been watching Twin Peaks for the first time.
Yes.
I am Wade, and I've watched it a couple times.
Yeah.
But
although you were surprised.
The episodes that we're talking about today, I haven't seen since I think they first aired.
Yeah.
So it's
kind of cool.
It's been decades.
You were like, whoa!
Several decades. Yeah.
About some of them.
Yeah. So it felt like a first time reaction. Yeah. I felt silly because I had forgotten that existed.
I mean, we are only human.
That's right. And so just so you know, we are talking about season 2.
Yes.
And the last episode we learned about the killer of Laura Palmer. So
yes.
There are spoilers, right? Mackenzie is talking about.
I've watched it.
Mackenzie's talking about everything that she sees.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for Twin Peaks commentary, but you have not watched Twin Peaks,
do not watch this.
Yes.
Not
if
allowed.
You haven't watched, especially if you haven't watched season 2.
In fact, if you haven't watched this, the video will shut down, and you won't be able to continue watching.
It will.
So it will know.
We're going to do a brain scan.
Yeah.
Totoro is going to look into your soul.
You picked the nasty looking one.
The nasty looking Totoro?
Yeah, okay, because look at his face, and then look at the other one's face.
Twin Totoros. Oh, man. So they're looking at your soul right now.
Well, he is the spirit of the forest.
That's right. So if you've seen Twin Peaks, it's now shutting down your computer. 4, 5, 3. I wanted to count down.
And then you paused.
I should have started at 5.
I feel like you should have gone like.
Okay,
4,
they're now
5.
shutting me down. All right. So, let's get to this exciting discovery. And before, I guess we do, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
But we were talking about how a father and daughter have decided to get together on YouTube to talk about a show about a father that does horrible things to his daughter. Or actually, it depends on how you interpret Bob. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
He knew Bob was there.
Yeah, so we're talking about the nature of Bob. We're calling this episode "What About Bob?"
Yeah.
And this is also an episode where we find out the fate of Leland. Mm-hmm. So, and we're in kind of strange territory, I think, because
we watched 2 episodes.
We watched 2 episodes. So we watched the
car. Drive with a Dead Girl.
Drive with a Dead Girl and Arbitrary Law is the name of these 2 episodes. But we're also in unfamiliar territory because all of these viewings we've been asking the question of who killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
And so now the rest of the season
is just us talking about.
If you still want to keep watching.
Yes, I do.
So
people probably
so now we're figuring out, what is, I think, the nature of Bob.
I still want to know who shot Dale Cooper.
Yes, there's those kind of questions, and we'll see that all throughout the show, there's been soap opera vibes, and so those soap opera vibes, you can rest assured that those are going to continue. Yeah. But I think one of the reasons why the people that still love Twin Peaks throughout season 2 are the ones that are interested in the weird dreamy aspects of the show. So let's get Mackenzie's reaction to the episode called Driving with a Dead Girl. Remember this?
He's hitting little balls. Little golf balls
in the house. So
it's impressive. I'm impressed with the iron that he's using. I think it's a 5.
He's got a golf club in most of this episode.
Yeah, but my question is how did he get such a good hit that he didn't break any of his windows? That's a long range club that he has, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna break.
It might have been a pitching wedge.
Yeah,
which is the iron that you use right before you get on the green.
Right,
but
he really hits it.
It seems like he really hits it. And also Bob, I don't think of Bob as somebody having that much finesse.
Right. Although he has managed to create an entire life for himself.
Yes.
As a functioning member of society.
So
for the most part.
because
nobody suspects Leland, even though they should.
They should. And
should.
these two don't seem to suspect Leland here.
Yeah.
They're talking about like, hey, Matt, we want to say goodbye to Maddie. And he's saying, Maddie's gone.
Maddie's not here because I killed her.
He has ended poor Maddie Ferguson's life. And we discover that at the, or at least the police discover the body at the end of this episode. So I think that you have made a prediction about a very minor side quest mystery, the identity of MT Wentz.
Yes. Yeah.
And tell us what your prediction is.
It's whatever her name is, the one who owns the diner.
Okay, so Norma owns the diner, and you think it's Norma's MT Wentz?
Yeah. No. I'm sorry, her mom.
Okay.
Her mom's
so her mom that's there.
Yeah.
And why do you think that?
Because she's always talking about food, and she is arriving at the same time that the meal critic is supposed to be there.
Okay. Well, don't you think that's a little too obvious for a mystery?
I thought that Japanese guy that turned out to be whatever her name is, Catherine. I thought that was MT1.
Okay. So to be fair. So your first guess was Mr. Tojimura.
Yeah.
And now that it's Catherine, you don't think it's MT Wentz.
Yeah.
And so now you think the mom is MT Wentz.
Or that her new husband, possibly.
Or her new
Probably
husband.
not, since he...
Who knows Hank?
Yeah, he's from jail.
Gotcha.
He is spawned from jail.
All right. And speaking of jail, this is a fun little moment. What did you think of this moment with Ben and Jerry?
They're such good brothers. Like, you can like hate on them all you want for their illegal activities. Also, he probably should still be arrested, even though he didn't kill Laura Palmer.
We've kind of glossed over the fact that he hired Leo to commit arson. But they have that fun little memory of them being kids watching the girl they have a crush on is dancing around. And other subplots. Well, Lucy has her sister coming to town.
Yeah. And then our dumb friend that is just dumb and not smart at all, Andy, okay, thinks that the baby is his. Thinks that the sister's like 6-month-old baby is
Andy
his
doesn't
child.
know exactly how babies work.
The thing. I think, honestly, we should probably start looking into the school district of Twin Peaks.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So you had talked about your prime suspects had always been Nadine,
Andy,
Leland, and Andy in some order.
Right.
Nadine was often the leader, and then Leland kind of swooped. Leland started early. Yeah. Fell back, swooped in right before the episode that reveals. Yeah. And but because we're talking about how Leland seems to have been possessed in some way. Yeah. At least that's one way of interpreting it. That's the way I think that Dale Cooper's interpreting the events. Yeah. So do you think that there are other characters, and then we've got Philip Gerard and Mike are sort of joined. Yeah. Leland and Bob are sort of joined. Right. So do you think that there are other characters that we've already met that have
we have the
something
log
like
lady.
That? Okay, so the log lady maybe?
I assume that she's connected to her husband that died on the day of her wedding.
Okay.
I assume that's who the log is, since he was a lumberjack. Okay. Nadine might have some kind of like if we're gonna put like, oh yeah, spirits are inhabiting people. I think that it's possible that it's like, oh, we're gonna see hints towards Nadine being possessed by some type of like really strong being. Who else? Yeah, I don't know.
So Nadine and Log Lady.
Nadine, Log Lady.
All right.
Maybe the major. Possibly.
What about this guy?
Oh, yes. The giant and that guy. I forgot about them. Because I've just linked them in my mind.
Gotcha. So I was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so every time we see the old guy in there, we kind of expect the giant's going to come along. Yeah. And that there's a connection with that.
He also
all right, so back to Leland Palmer. So there's this pretty intense episode. What were your thoughts about this?
It's interesting. The thing was that I found funny to find humor in the situation. But we had talked about, I don't know if we talked about it on camera, but we had talked about like, I hope it's not an episode, like my own opinion was like, I hope it's not an episode where it's just like slapstick Leland running around with a body. And it was that.
So it was like, Weekend at Bernie's episode.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, why do you suppose, so they pull him over. He's driving like a madman.
Yeah.
And they pull him over and act like, Leland, you again, our
Leland.
Innocent friend, our poor sad
you
father.
Can only be innocent.
And so when he's talking with Agent Cooper, he strikes up a conversation about golf, and then said like, oh, like let me show you my clubs.
Yeah.
And
he has the body.
The dead girl is Maddie is in the car, is in the trunk. So what's happening there? Why is Leland / Bob doing that?
There's a couple different things that could be happening, and I don't know that we'll ever find out. But you were like, oh yeah, he's gonna hit him.
Yeah,
he's gonna hit him. But I
think your mother was saying that.
Yeah. He's gonna hit him. Oh
but I do think that's a possibility, right? He's got a look in like on his eyes, like
Well, my thought was that he was actually trying to be Leland for a second, where he's like, I need to show them this. I need to show them something in my truck. So do I know what it is? No, because I'm fogged over Leland in a way.
So in a way, Leland might be trying to get himself or Bob caught.
Yeah.
I think that, Mackenzie, oftentimes when we're watching this, and especially in the recent episodes, has been feeling like she's disappointed in the law enforcement, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'm disappointed. Like, it's like, Dale Cooper kind of sees the best in people. Yeah.
So there's an innocence amidst the darkness. There's an innocence within the world of Twin Peaks that I think Dale Cooper is really enchanted by. So this begins the episode that is called Arbitrary Law.
Yes.
And Albert has returned again. Yes. What any thoughts about the opening of this one that you recall?
I remember thinking this is a cool shot, and also, hey, Albert's back. Heck yeah. They're also like looking at the body. Kind of thing. They're like, it could be somebody else. It could be a copycat. Which, you know what? Good for you, Albert. That's a really good thought process, because that's a strong possibility. Because they have released that evidence. Like, it's in the finger.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a strong possibility that there's a copycat killer.
So they're talking about that. I also like the sort of the pep talk that they're giving Dale Cooper in this scene. And then Albert says, go on whatever vision quest you want, but you have the ability to find out.
You can do it. And
to stop it before I think the beast takes another bite.
Yeah.
Is what I think
he has a lot of good lines.
He's a great character. Great. I love Albert a great deal. And we've got Donna, and so is Donna. How are you feeling about the character of Donna?
I thought she was gonna die this episode. She almost died.
She has a very close call.
She has a very close
this
call
episode
to being violently something.
Yeah, because she's wearing Laura's glasses.
She's at Laura's house,
and she's getting ready to smoke a cigarette.
She's lit the cigarette on fire.
And Leland, after basically finding out, like, hey, I just got a call. Maddie never got off the bus. Isn't that strange? Let's have some lemonade and figure this out, and let's dance. Music. And when he clutches onto her, it's very scary.
Right.
And it seems like Donna should sort of know, like,
I should get out.
This person's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, she kind of does.
She senses the bed, but she
doesn't say anything.
She goes to
People need to say more.
She goes to see sad boy James.
Yeah.
And talks about Maddie being gone.
Yeah.
And talks about like Leland, like Mr. Palmer heard it on the phone, but she never says. And then he danced with me, and he clutched onto me.
Yeah, and he was like breathing hard.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of warning signs that people just don't want to acknowledge.
Yeah.
About Leland. I think in some ways it's psychologically realistic, right? That we sometimes want to put blinders.
I don't want to talk about that.
It's like we put blinders on. But she does help out the investigation when she takes Dale Cooper to see Mrs. Tremont. And what happens there? The little boy's not there.
The woman she saw has been dead for 3 years, which is very like, ooh, ghost shop.
Yeah.
You know,
do you think that's what it is? Because she says, "Oh, well, my mom has," because it's
the same last name.
It is the same last name.
Yeah.
But she said that it's like, oh, I saw your mother with the grandson.
Yeah.
And then the lady says, I don't have any children.
Yeah.
So Yeah. So do you think it's a relative ghost? What do you think
I don't know.
it is?
He does that like little grabby thing.
The cream corn.
He eats the cream corn. The one vegetable, not real. No vegetables here. So the only
if you're just joining us, Mackenzie is obsessed with looking at the lack of vegetables.
It's
in Twin Peaks.
Noteworthy.
Okay.
The town isn't healthy. That's what I've taken.
The town's not healthy. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's strange. But what we do get is the diary and entry, like this page from her secret diary, right?
But the diary
is her secret diary that she's given. She's written it to him. And she's given it to Harold.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Because we know, like, the people who are going through it are like, it's in her handwriting.
So,
and that's
I thought that they said that what's in the envelope, I thought was a page from Laura's diary because it's on the night like before she dies.
Oh, really?
It's February 22nd.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay.
I thought it was the guy. Okay, never mind. Never mind.
So I think it's because Laura, that has the dream.
That lady really held on to that evidence.
Yeah, she's like, I was gonna
give it to the police. She puts up her hand.
Yeah, so so I don't know if Harold is the one that did that. Or if it was the old lady, Mrs. Tremont, and the little boy delivering that.
Like the little boy. Well, my theory was that the little boy is Harold.
The little boy is Harold.
That's my theory.
And so when we see the little boy first,
he takes
even though Harold's alive, this is like a weird sort of retroactive ghost.
Yeah.
The ghost that can
ghosts don't have to obey time.
Ghost that can be.
I don't know.
And this is David Lynch's world, so time is out of joint.
Well, like she's like, oh yeah, dead 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Whose house was she in then? She just break an entry to her.
Well, that's the interesting thing. It's like when she's in the first Mrs. Tremont's house.
It's a different house.
It's a very different interior.
Yeah, it's the same house, different interior.
Yeah, so it's not like
she time travel.
Maybe Donna time travel.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, do you think that the weird Mrs. Tremont and little boy are going to have anything to do with the story anymore?
They might be spirits.
Tree spirits. Tree spirits?
I don't know. That's what I've been calling them.
Tremont? Does mond mean spirit?
I think it does it. I don't know. You're looking at me like I know. Like, this is a quiz. You should know this information.
You should know this information.
No, I have no idea.
All right, let's go to Google. What is etymology of the word mond?
It gave us the etymology for...
The etymology of the word etymology. It's the German language. Moon, terms moon, month.
Moon!
Tree moon.
Oh my god, wait, moon. Tree moon. And I've already said that
the trees.
The moon.
Yes.
The moon's crap. The moon's crazy. Have you seen the moon? It shows up in every episode.
So it's like Mond, like okay. So tree Mond, like Monday, like moon.
I like that. She's the moon.
Mrs. Tree Moon.
Yeah, she's the moon, dude. She's the moon. We figured out who the moon is.
There we go. Watch. Mackenzie brings up a good point about the phases of the moon.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
It's wild. Sometimes it's not even the next day. Sometimes it's later, like 4 hours later, and they're like, the moon again. Look, it's upside down now.
All right. So going back to this, so what does that mean to you that now that we figured out that Laura is the one writing?
Laura's the one.
So Laura has written this. Wow. So she had a dream. And this is, by the way, what I completely forgot, having not watched this for a few decades. So I completely forgot that this little scrap from Laura exists. And it has a profound effect on Dale Cooper because, I remember we shared this dream.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
I thought that was interesting. I liked it. She tells him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She's basically saying that she has to die to escape.
Yeah.
Right. And so, what is she trying to flee or escape or prevent from happening?
Yeah. So later on in the episode, Bob / Leland man talk about how Laura's too strong-willed and won't let Bob in.
This is in Leland's dying words.
Yeah. She won't let Bob in.
Yeah,
and that's good.
So Bob wanted to what?
Bob wanted to, I assume, possess her like he possessed Leland.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings me to my theory that I think Donna's the next one. I think Donna's next.
That Donna might be.
I think Donna.
So that even though Leland has died, but what do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction with Bob, if anything?
I think my prediction with Bob is that wait, what's her name? I just
Donna?
said Donna.
Yeah,
Donna. I think that Bob is going to go enter Donna because nobody's told like Donna like, yeah, don't let a Bob in if you dream about him.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And she's already been watched by
Donna
the owls.
Might be in danger.
She's been hugged by Bob. We've been very close to Leland / Bob. Like she's been very close to him.
Yeah.
And so I could see how it's like, oh, she's wearing the glasses. That reminds me of Laura. It's time to go inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see if that happens.
Dude.
I loved scary premise.
Yeah. I loved the scene that I think you're about to click on with the giant.
Yes.
He's like, here's your ring.
Yes, that gum you like is going to come back in style, is said by the old man.
Oh, so good.
Who seems to be a giant's counterpart.
Yeah.
Right? That they might be twin
friends.
Yes, something like that.
Finally figuring out what that means, what the twin part is.
Yeah.
Twin souls.
Yeah.
Twin vessel.
That they're sharing some kind of vessel. So it's a great scene, right? That takes place at the Roadhouse, and they very much like a mystery. They bring in
bring in people
there. Like he didn't really need to bring in Bobby and Leo.
And Leo. Like, I just want
let's do it. Let's do it. Like,
well, it was nice when they were all standing there.
Yes.
I like that shot. I didn't understand why it's there, but I
think it's all there because it's trying to lure. Well, one, I think he's going off of intuition.
Yeah.
And he's
like,
because he says like, I'm hoping for magic.
Yeah.
So
magic.
He's basically like, that's his way, I think, of asking the giant. It's like, okay, I need some help.
Yeah.
And so he's sensing like there's a missing person.
Yeah.
Major Briggs shows up with this nice old guy. And then everything kind of clicks.
And then they trap Leland.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
It is good.
It's one of the best detective pieces that I've seen in this whole thing. Although they kind of mess it up when they throw him in the cell. Well, they should let him think like for a while longer, like, we still think you're innocent. Can you tell us about your friend? That would have been a better approach, but I did like the way they got him to the jailhouse.
Yeah. And they probably should, if they wanted Leland to stay alive, they should have restrained him more.
But did they want Leland to stay alive?
Well, I don't know that we as an audience want Leland to stay alive.
Because he's sad.
Well, it's a heavy burden to, if we go with the premise that a demonic spirit took over and I had no control over the terrible things I've done.
Yeah, but you also had a little control.
Well, let's talk about that. So Leland at the end is kind of saying like, hey, I didn't know he made me do these terrible things.
Yeah.
And then Dale Cooper, as Leland is dying, is sort of guiding him towards this blissful light.
Yeah.
And go towards Laura. So are you interpreting it in that way where it's like, Leland was not responsible, or are you interpreting it as in a different way?
Here's the thing. I know it's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad that Laura was killed and also, sexually abused. That sucks. However, he had some control. He had control over his life in small ways.
Yes. We have, right? We've got Leland Palmer and Laura Palmer.
Yeah.
And Laura Palmer, from what we can tell, resisted this evil.
Right.
So the evil can be resisted. Yeah. It can be fought off.
You can choose to resist.
So we can feel as sad as we want to for little boy Leland or whatever.
Sucks. That's awful.
But there was a way to resist that evil, and Leland failed.
Yeah.
I don't know if Leland chose to accept the evil, but he failed to resist the evil.
And he failed at protecting his daughter.
And since the, you know, he's got that responsibility of like, that's your daughter, man.
Yeah, that's your daughter. You said you loved her, but if you loved her enough.
Yeah. And
that's a choice you made.
And here's the thing is that it's, I think, not a coincidence that Leland is working for a corrupt person, Benjamin Horne.
Yeah.
So Leland has morality issues apart from the Bob thing.
Yeah.
I think.
I agree.
And so this
he's done some sketchy
morally corrupt person, it's almost showing how someone who's in a mediocre way morally corrupt.
Yeah, it's like, he's a lawyer.
It can lead to this really devastation, right, of this
because he kind of gives in to the unjust people of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
And so he's like already ready to give in to Bob.
Yeah. Philip Gerard,
Philip found
Mike.
a way to suppress Mike.
Yes.
Philip went to a hospital
and also
received drugs and now functions as a person.
It's also interesting that Mike says that he saw the light of God. Yeah. And we don't know exactly what that means or how it was.
I think it just means
it could be the drugs.
I think that it's actually Mike. I think Mike resists enough. Or not Mike. I think that Philip resists enough and tries to do good, that is the light of God. Trying to do good, even in the worst circumstances. So instead of that's actually God. It's more of like the root of the word God, which is good. So like a true good.
Gotcha. So he basically says, I experienced goodness.
Right. This person that I inhabited tried to do good things. And so now I take on their form because he doesn't have a counterpart. Philip and Mike look the same in the dream world and without the dream world.
That's interesting, right? Because we never like see a flash of some different person.
Yeah. And so like Mike has just fused with this person who's trying to do good.
Yeah.
Even in the worst circumstances. And he's like, that's it. I'm going to do it now. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Which then it just like places the blame on Leland as well as Bob, because I think Leland is also responsible in this universe.
Okay. And what do you think? What are your predictions for what does this season have in store for us now that this big conflict now that this big conflict has reached its climactic moment, but there's still like a dozen episodes to go. So what do you think's going to go on? What do you think?
I think we're probably going to see more questions asked and like maybe 3 questions answered. My guess is that we're going to have 3 questions.
3 questions answered.
I don't know
how many questions will we have brought up before the end
at least 20. 22.
All right. So we're going to keep track of the questions. Mackenzie says there will be 22 questions and 3 answers. All right. So
that's a good one.
We're going to keep we're going to keep watching it and see how many more questions come up.
Yeah.
And how many answers we get.
So we're not going to get many.
So
I'm pretty sure.
But you know what? If you feel that way going into the rest of Twin Peaks and you're okay with that, I think you'll be.
The more questions they give us, the more stuff we have to talk about.
That's right.
That's all.
Right. So tune in for more questions and a few more answers as we continue to watch Twin Peaks for the first time.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.